The White House has made the war about the White House and Fox News. They have launched an unprecedented number of attacks on this network. Here is one from Communications Director Anita Dunn.
I mean, the reality of it is that Fox News often operates almost as either the research arm or the communications arm of the Republican Party. When they want to treat us like they treat everyone else, but let's not pretend they're a news network the way CNN is.
It's really weird. Do they know that, like, this show in particular is an opinion show? We get our facts right, and we invite them to call us and correct us on the facts. I've heard the Czar one, and now the other one about Major Garrett. I'm sorry about those. I'm looking more at the big picture here. I thought they'd call us on that, but no, apparently not. Dunn has also told the New York Times recently, quote, "We're going to treat Fox News the way we would treat an opponent." Wow, that sounds not only pretty nuts to me, but that also sounds like you're in campaign mode still. Now here with his reaction is Democrat Pat Caddell, former senior advisor to former Democratic President Carter. He's now a Fox News contributor. Pat, how are you, sir?
Hey, Glenn, how are you today?
Well, I went back and I looked, and if I may just give you a couple of quotes here from the Nixon days. Press Secretary Ziegler, under no circumstances is to see anyone from the Washington Post, nor anyone on the White House staff is to see anyone from the Post or return any calls to them. Just treat the Post absolutely coldly. All of their people to be treated in this matter. Nixon on the Post to John Dean, 1972. Post is going to have a damnable problems out of this one. They have television station. They're going to have to get it renewed. The game is being played awfully rough. I mean, I thought this was something that the journalists hated. From Nixon, and everybody on the left hated, but now it seems to me we're doing much, much worse.
Well, as the youngest member of President Nixon's enemies list, I feel like I've been to this dance before.
You're on a list now 2 times.
Well, I'm afraid so, apparently, because, the White House ought to understand that when you start going down the road and start calling people opponents and enemies, and you start that kind of language and those kinds of tactics, it leads to unfortunate places. And look, we have a war going on. We have 2 of them in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we have real enemies. They're trying to kill Americans. People who disagree with you or challenge you or question you are not the enemy. And Ms. Dunn, I've read her comments, not just in today in the New York Times, and which she's played on CNN, but also in Time magazine. They're obviously trumpeting this idea that they're going to make Fox News the enemy, and that they're at war. Well, let me just remind you that the person you should remember before your time, you just need to be a young lady, was Chuck Colson, who was brought in to do a very similar job, apparently. And you might want to consult him about this. This is not the business. And when the government, what disturbs me is that when the when the Nixon administration went after the Washington Post stations, which they did, tried to get their licenses, people to challenge them. We've already seen some incidents that are disturbing. The Energy Secretary, openly cheerleading companies to leave the Chamber of Commerce because they don't like, or the White House does not like, their policy against the climate change bill. When they have agencies attack insurance companies or threaten them because they're communicating with their members because they disagree with the health care bill. Or when you put the DNC, which is a White House subsidiary, putting up ads calling the people of the United States in August a mob because they're unhappy with what's going on, you endanger this process, and it's something you should be very careful about.
Pat, I don't know the actual ratings, but let me give you this. I know a Pew poll says that Fox News audience has the greatest balance of liberals and conservatives and independents out of all of the news channels. I've seen the bars. I mean, the conservative is a little higher, but the other ones are completely out of whack. This one is relatively level for the audience. I don't know what the actual numbers are. It's around 2 times the competition or something like that. That this show, and I think all of the shows on Fox, beat all of the other competitors combined. We beat.
Yes.
So they're not saying that we're the enemy. They're saying anybody who watches this network really is the enemy.
Well, this is cutting off your nose also to spite your face. Remember, the people who are watching Fox or joining are independents and Democrats who are unhappy or got questions or looking for other viewpoints that they're not finding in other places. It is not because they're all right-wing nut Republicans, if you look at the numbers. And also, let me just say, what they're denying themselves an opportunity. Last week, twice during the news shows, during the day, Amy Klobuchar, the senator, Democratic senator from Minnesota, appeared on Fox and was discussing health care and was a very effective and articulate spokesman for that view. They deny themselves. When they deny themselves an opportunity to persuade. You don't persuade by threatening, because once you start that, some other people get some other ideas about what they can do. And we're talking about the government here, not a campaign. We're talking about the immense authority and power of the executive branch. And this is not to be played with this way.
Pat, thank you very much. Don't miss tonight senior political analyst Britt Hume on the O'Reilly factor, with more on the White House going after Fox News on O'Reilly tonight. Now,